All right, action.
Okay, well, this is another Facebook Live at Glowworks, and we're here to specifically talk about the external insulation and the brick slips here. But just before we start, come out here, Tim, we've got a bit more light. Just following the tragic incidents at Grenfell Tower, there were some adjustments made to this building. The actual design was signed off and 2 regs, but the developers decided that they actually wanted to upgrade the way it works.
Yeah.
Well, here again with James Wrigley, project manager from DW Hicks. Just tell us how it changed following Grenfell.
Okay, effectively the original cladding system that we had here, although perfectly suitable for a building over 18 metres, inherently required a cavity within it. Pretty typical of traditional cladding systems. We had an opportunity to change the cladding on the building and do away with the cavity. It just seemed like one of these situations where something can be done to make something inherently safer, remove one of the potential the ability for fire to spread, and just take it out of the equation.
Because effectively with a cavity, what we've got, if the brakes fail, you've got a chimney effect, which is basically sucking and expanding the fire, isn't it? Straight up the side of the building.
It allows it to,
which is what happened. So I think it's fantastic. In addition to the sprinklers being installed in every part of this building, the post-Grenfell implication here is around getting rid of the cavities and putting the sprinklers in. So, having explained that, let's have a look now. The building is at an interesting stage because we can see the whole, all of the bits. So talk us through it, James.
Well, earlier, in the previous video, we showed you some of the fusion section.
Yes, which is the frame, the metal frame in the building.
On top of that, you have a sheathing board.
Yep.
Okay, and then from that sheathing board, everything out of external from that is the cladding system.
And here we go. This is the insulation that goes on top of it.
That's correct.
What's this made out of?
That is a mineral wool. It is.
Yeah.
It is a special type of mineral wool. It's not something you'll be able to pick up off the shelf at
being you.
or juicers or anything like that.
Yeah.
But this is adhered to the sheathing board using a fireproof. Well, it's like a mortar, thin scrape mortar. Then on top of that, you have a render system. So you have a mesh, thin coat render, and I'm just wondering if we might be able to pick that.
And then we'll go over there too.
Actually, just below here, you can see the fixings that go in. So that's it. Those fixings then go through the mesh and thin coat render, through the insulation.
Oh right, so they're quite long then.
Through the board.
Right.
And they actually penetrate into the fixing points within the fusion system.
Oh, I see.
So
that's
through
almost like a tie, isn't it?
It is exactly like
this is like a plastic wall tie with, all the way through to make sure it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't look that strong, but is it strong enough?
It's incredibly strong. If we find some about them, there'll probably be one or two somewhere. We might be able to.
Right. Well, we'll keep a lookout for them. So basically, we've got the frame. We've then got the board. We've got the insulation. We've got the mesh. We've got the render. And then it's all tied together with this, and then on top of that we're going to put the brick slips.
That's correct.
Perfect. Let's have a look at these brick slips. I'll have a look on the ground to see if we can find one of these. Really good to come here. Right. Don't worry. Here we go.
Come on.
Brick slips.
All right.
So talk us through how this works then, James.
Okay, again, they are effectively a section of a brick. They're not cut from the face of the brick like you get on a GRP chimney or something like that. These are specially made and fired. They're 15mm, but to all intents and purposes, it's just a very, very thin brick. However, the application process, which you can see behind us, is much more like tiling than bricklaying. So you have spacers.
Let me take that there, Stephen. And so we can see over here.
See, how they actually space out the brick slips using effectively tiling spacers.
Yeah.
And
it is more like tiling than laying bricks.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, we can see over there them being put on. Excellent. Okay.
Right,
That's great.
We'll see if we can find a couple of these fixed in somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, I shall hand this. This is your cameraman for today. Say hello, Stephen.
Hi guys.
Thank you very much for your help today.
No problem.
Okay, we can finish that
Yeah.
one now. Right, that's